Welcome to LowellArts Featured Artist Series, connecting you with the people behind the music. Today we have Kyle Rasche from Alto, Michigan.
Alto, Michigan.
Address is Alto, right?
It's Alto.
Yeah.
Make no mistake.
Okay.
Alto-nian.
Altoinian. I don't know if that's a real word.
Altoid. I'm pretty sure it's Altoid.
Altoid. We're gonna be broadcasting here today live from Mackinaw Harvest Studios, West Michigan's premier recording and production facility, located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Welcome, everybody. We have Paris the Cat. We have a fire. My name is Josh Rose. My pleasure to be bringing you this next installment of the LowellArts Featured Artist Series for May. And this is my friend, Kyle Rasche. Rhymes with Kashi.
It does.
Yep.
It's not as important to say that when you hear it first.
Yeah. I never cared for this cereal, honestly. I never cared for it.
It's not
no.
an instant one for it. I tell you,
I do know the cereal.
My entire life, people have not gotten my name right, and I started putting that behind on my live streams and such. I put a little thing behind it that says Rasche rhymes with Kashi, and people are starting to get it. So I think I'm gonna do a little presser. Put it out there for everybody. This is working, though. We've talked about it now for 30 seconds, so this is good press for my last name.
That's awesome. It's my pleasure to be interviewing today, Kyle, and I'm looking forward to this. So Kyle is a workhorse of the Grand Rapids scene, and full caveat, he has been my or full disclosure, he's been my friend for about 7 years now.
We figured this out last month. It was
8 years.
Yep,
maybe 8 years now. Yep. And so I know him perhaps better than you, but we're going to be diving into all about Kyle Rasche today. So Kyle, just the basics first. Where are you from? Where do you live? And how long have you been in music?
I'm from mid-Michigan. I graduated like Okemos High School. Born in Detroit, moved back to Detroit after college at Michigan State, and then I married a girl from West Michigan, and that's how I ended up here. About 10 years ago, the year my first Chain of Legs album came out was the year I moved here. I recorded it with Jim Roll in Ann Arbor and then moved and released it here.
And what year was that?
2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's interesting to move to a new town and then like release a record for both of your new friends in your new town. But yeah.
Oh, you had more than two friends.
It was a good way to meet everybody. But yeah, that's my story.
So how long were you playing before you actually released that record?
I was writing my own songs since I was like 17, 18, senior. I used to write songs like make my friends laugh, basically. And then when I went to college and I didn't have soccer practice every day 17 times, I started just getting creative with the instrument, and then met some buddies in college that we started making songs together, and then like dropped out of college with those first guys and committed to music full time within like a year and a half of meeting them, and I've just been writing songs ever since. Cool.
What was the name of your first record? That released in 2010?
That was self-titled, Chain of Lakes.
Okay.
So
Chain of Lakes, I've always, I've heard you perform with that band. I've met every member of your band. I adore all your band members. I think they're all amazing people.
Those are the best.
And I think that you guys put out a really interesting, unique sound. I've always thought it's a great Midwest band name. Tell me about the name.
It's just blatant plagiarism. Like the Chain of Legs is a thing. And my family, my godmother first had a cabin up on the Chain of Lakes on Hanley Lake in Central Lake, Michigan, which is not one of the lakes. Central Lake is the name of the town.
That's right. Yeah.
You've been there to the yoga place, right?
Yeah. I stay at the yoga place, yeah.
So I've been vacationing up there and summering up there my whole life. I mean, I learned how to play guitar around campfires on the Chain of Lakes. So we talked about my last name being phonetically pronounced Rash, and I didn't want to self-release put music out there as my name that nobody knew how to say. So I just picked it. I knew I wanted to have a band eventually, so I just named the band Chain of Lakes.
Right. Yeah, you're coming from the Midwest, and it's like, like Minnesota is the land of 10,000 lakes, and that's always been a misnomer compared to Michigan, because Michigan has more lakes than Minnesota. I think it's just a great Midwest name.
Well, the Great Lakes are a chain of lakes. They're connected. So
that's true,
it's just
too.
kind of a cool thing. But this is after the little ones up in Central.
Well, I just love how you honor your upbringing, and you honor your atmosphere and your surroundings, and that's great.
Well, naming things is just all about picking something that won't be made fun of, right? I mean, eventually you're not going to outlive and you're not going to regret later. So it seems like it was an easy one that I wouldn't ever regret calling it. I love that place, and it was part of everything. So
awesome. I first heard you at the Old Stone House in the middle of a parking lot in downtown GR. It was an a cappella show. I'm just going to ask you to put that in your mind,
Chris
that show. And it was, in my opinion, the perfect venue perfect type of concert to let your voice shine. I've always thought that your voice is incredible. I
remember that night. I met you that night.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was a very cool show. Chris Zebarth and Pete Fox put that on at the Stonehouse. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was like a benefit.
Yep.
So and the whole thing is that there was no music, but you had to sing a cover and one of your songs a cappella. So everybody went with the arrangements and stuff, they got pretty elaborate. And then you walked up there by yourself and sang, I think it was Latchkey. Am I right?
That could be.
That must have been brand new at the time.
Yeah.
And I forgot what else.
I played a
Bob Dylan song.
I played a Dylan song.
And a Bob Dylan song. By yourself, though. It was one of the ballsiest things I think I've ever seen. I'm like, wow. I was hidden behind a barbershop quartet of Chain of Lakes, and you should have just like unbuttoned your shirt and just started singing. It was very brave. I will never forget that night. And it's funny that you bring that up.
But I will never forget that night because I heard your voice for the first time. And I have to say, Kyle, so when I hear your voice, I hear the note. And I can't say that about a lot of vocalists these days. A lot of vocalists hide behind vibrato, or they hide behind electronics. I feel like when you sing, Kyle, you are just so dialed in that you bring the musical experience to your audience members, and you just hit the note. And
it's an integral
do you have
part
any
of
thoughts
singing.
about that?
Well, you don't want to miss the note. I don't know a ton about music, but I know that generally when you're attacking a note vocally, you want to be on the note.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, and I know what you mean. I have always been drawn to choral music, and I've always loved singing, and I think it was probably just a good thing that I didn't miss those notes, because I was going to be singing all the time anyway, and that probably made it a little bit more tolerable for my family and such. But that's very nice of you to say. I appreciate the compliment, and it's fun to sing with you.
Tell me about your choral. Let's think that word right there. Tell me about your choral experiences.
I am the product of the most incredibly lucky education in choral music. I remember all of my music teachers, and because they are literally legends. Like I had Mrs. Gafter Bowl, and then Deborah Borton, and then Frank DeWald, who's like one of the best choral directors, conductors of high school music ever. And then I went to Michigan State and studied under Jonathan Reed, who, while I was there, was like creating his legend, going to like ACDA nationals, and we were singing in these incredible cathedrals down in San Antonio. We debuted David Conta's Invocation and Dance for David Conta. Like I got to have these incredible choral music experiences, and it's all luck. It's because of the school district I was in, and then obviously the college I went to. But it was insane. And to be able to just get to use your instrument under the direction of people like that, and it just makes, when you go back home to your buddies and you're playing with your guitars, it's just easier to pick that kind of stuff out. I've always loved singing vocal harmonies. I remember the class and the song when I first did it. It changed everything for me. And my dad was very, very, very drawn to that style of music too. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Simon and Garfunkel. Like, I mean, he loved those vocal bands too. So I had a good education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of like was an education that not only that you pursued, but also what surrounded you. And so it was natural in all ways.
It was almost
right?
just like I liked it, and I didn't realize that I liked it because I was literally getting a world-class education in it, and I got to be at the highest level before I knew that I was at the highest level. I was almost like, you know, getting into other choirs in college at like churches and stuff like that, and being like, wow, this is lousy compared to that guy's a legend that I was just studying with for the last 12 years. So it was just luck, sheer luck. And I definitely ate it up as much as I possibly could.
So I've noticed that, of course, when you first started, it was all Chain of Lakes music. You played with a big band. There were 4 or 5 people on stage, et cetera, et cetera. And then I've noticed that a lot of your gigs lately have been solo. Can you tell me a little bit about that progression?
Well, it's actually the opposite. It started off solo, totally.
Oh, okay.
Like, I almost played everything on my first record. And then my second record, when I came here, I met some great musicians that became obviously very, very good friends that pretty much have been my go-to for that instrument since I've been in Grand Rapids. Matt Churchill on bass, Eric Ellis has been in my band for the last 2 records, and Kyle Vanderveen, Dana Jackson. It's just, you get your go-to folks to play with.
Yeah.
But Chain of Lakes is still just kind of the name of my songs.
Okay.
And it's crazy. This past year, there was this pandemic that happened.
Oh.
And almost nobody was going to shows. So I've been making songs by myself for, at least a year now.
Okay.
So that made the decision a little bit easier. But I still play with those guys, and my favorite show to play, no offense to my amazing band that makes me sound 100 times better than I am, is a quiet listening room with me and my guitar. And that's that can be attributed to the fact that I make a lot of mistakes, and when I'm the only one that has to know about it and cover it up, it's much easier, you know.
Right. And so for any of you who have ever seen a show at LowellArts, they are listening room shows. The destination is the music. If you still are a person or a fan that loves music, you go to these shows and you can hear a pin drop. And that is what I want when I listen to a band. You know, I want to be absorbed and, surrounded by the music. And so it's the ultimate musical experience. And that's what you get at LowellArts.
It's one of my favorite rooms ever.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it's funny how that's the last gig that you played right before COVID hit, eh? Yeah.
It was right before. It was.
Yeah, it was
February 28th.
like, I remember that show. It was right before COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was like the last week. We had no idea.
Yeah. So how do you think about your writing has been during COVID?
My writing has been as prolific as I've been since I was full-time making music. And it's more, I mean, much of that is attributed to the fact that no one could go to work for months. And it was this amazing opportunity for me to like use my morning brain on something creative. Because you know how, I mean, you got to pay the bills, the kids and the family, and the priorities as well as they should be. But it seems like you're always giving your creativity and your music the what's left. And quarantine was kind of an opportunity to at least take some of that good morning brain and try to make up songs. And we briefly talked about it, but I've gotten together with friends to create these prompted groups, the songwriter groups that give a new level of accountability where you just get to practice finishing songs. You know, that's a muscle that you flex.
That's right.
And, you know, I've talked about it before, but I thought that I always put that off thinking that it would somehow like hinder the creative process or make it manufactured, but it's just the opposite. I mean, it teaches you how to write and finish songs. So before COVID, before this last 2 years, I mean, I really didn't finish songs I didn't put on records. I mean, I would have hundreds of unfinished songs, but I've kind of just like tailored my approach to finishing what I'm working on and then moving on, and it's made me more disciplined of a writer. I don't wait around for inspiration. I've never really believed in that. I'm kind of one of those people who thinks that there's a difference between a songwriter and a person who's written songs. And I want to be a songwriter, so I always make myself make up songs, and it's been working this year. I've been writing a lot of good, or what I think are some of my better songs.
Awesome. Name one song that you're really proud of this year during your COVID hiatus or COVID pause, whatever you want to call it. Name one song you're super proud of.
Can I name two?
Yeah.
I had two song prompt assignments that I was not excited about at all when I first heard them. One of them was Baseball, and one of them was Monsters, both of whom were suggested by Justin Stovepipe Stover of Grand Rapids, Michigan,
Justin,
one of my dear friends.
buddy. Yeah.
And I heard these prompts, and I was like, what? I just thought they were so specific. And then when I sat down to write, I wrote both of those songs in 15, 20 minutes, and the good ones come quick. And they're probably my two best songs right now. So I was proud. They're special to me because I'm proud of overcoming that initial fear and making something deeply personal and, expressive in the way I wanted to say it. And I think it's interesting out of something that I wasn't excited about working on. I think that was kind of just a testament to really taking the craft head on and trying to be better.
Awesome. Once again, this is Kyle Rasche, my good pal, amazing songwriter, amazing vocalist, amazing person. This is LowellArts Featured Artist Series for May. Thank you so much to Mackinaw Harvest Studios.
Thank you,
We have
Colonel.
our kitty Paris right here. We have a fire. And we're hoping that we can keep this interesting. Hopefully it was interesting. I don't know. Hopefully it was interesting. Interview and music series going. Thank you so much. Thank you. And
thank you, LowellArts. Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Appreciate you having me.
And thanks,
Bye.
Kyle.
You're welcome.